girls, come round this way, so line up behind Martha and we'll face that way. We've got a big line of people. You girls go that way. Right, come this way, come this side. This side. Right, girls have a line up there and face that way. It's not like they do on the TV. Right, you girls line up that way. So you line up opposite from that.
All right, guys, so once again, we got to talk about some woke students who are walking out over Republicans passing legislation that they don't like, okay? This time, we got to talk about Senate Bill 150 out of Kentucky, okay, which is going through the legislative process, and it addresses parental rights, okay? And students don't really like it, and I want to talk about it, but let's go ahead and play a video of kind of the overview of this legislation and the debate that's going on in the legislature there. And then after that, there's gonna be a video of the students' response, the walkout response, the protest to this legislation that is being passed through the Kentucky legislature. Take a look.
With 29 yay votes from Kentucky state senators, SB 150 has passed. This legislation is one of a handful of bills centered around parental rights. But more controversially, it addresses how students' pronouns are used in the classroom.
Nothing in that bill prevents a parent or a guardian from requesting the use of a name or a nickname different from the name in the student's educational records.
SB 150 would give educators the option to use pronouns aligned with the student's gender identity, but not require it.
A middle ground can be found without forcing a teacher to use a pronoun that does not conform to the student's sex. But pronouns are different. The terms he and she communicate fixed facts about a person, and teachers should not be forced to violate their consciences regarding what they know to be true or not true.
The bill was introduced by Republican Senator Max Wise. Wise is also the running mate for gubernatorial candidate Kelly Craft. Opponents of the bill believe it's harmful to transgender kids, including Senator Karen Berg, who lost her transgender adult son to suicide in December.
Your vote, yes, on this bill means one of two things. Either you believe that trans children do not exist, or you believe that trans children do not deserve to exist.
Included in the 6 no votes was Democrat Robin Webb, who criticized the timing of this bill being brought to the floor. A new version of the bill was adopted by a committee just hours before.
It was not on this computer screen until just now. I've not had adequate time to do that. I've not had adequate time to see the testimony of mental health care professionals, one of which we honored here today, to see maybe what that impact of this may have.
Despite this opposition,
Senate Bill 150 as amended is passed.
It will now be up to lawmakers in the House to decide if this bill heads to the governor's desk. In Frankfort, Mason Brighton, Spectrum News.
Good evening, Bill Bryant and Amber Philpott reporting for WKYT News. There were some student-led walkouts across central Kentucky today. This is video from Danville Independent Schools. Students chanted, "Trans rights are human rights," and they say they're planning a bigger rally in the future.
Well, students at 2 Lexington high schools also staged walkouts this morning. They're protesting several bills in Frankfort dealing with LGBTQ issues. WKYT's Julia Sandor talked with students this morning who say they're proud of their classmates. It's our top story at 6.
This is not a struggle for, quote, fitting in. This is not a struggle to just be understood. This is a struggle for life.
Hundreds of students stood side by side, walking out from class as supporters and allies, speaking out against what they say is anti-LGBTQ legislation.
Coming out here is a way to show the legislature, exactly who's affected by this, because I think that they're making decisions for people without really understanding what they're doing to the people who the law affects.
Students spoke out about Senate Bill 150, which requires parent notifications when it comes to sexual issues and aims to limit the authority of the State Board and Department of Education when it comes to gender identity.
If our legislators really wanted to help kids, they would pass laws to create safe bathrooms and locker rooms.
And students say they'll continue to speak out until their voices are heard by senators and representatives.
The large crowd that came and the powerful speeches from our other speakers definitely will send a message.
Being one of the largest schools in the state, Lafayette High School has strength in numbers.
I thought my transition was a burden to those around me.
But they also say there's even more strength in being able to be yourself.
Trans and LGBTQ people, like part of that community, we're not hurting anybody. We're just we're trying to be authentically ourselves.
In Lexington, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
This wasn't the only walkout today in Lexington. Students at Dunbar High School also staged a protest against what they say is anti-LGBTQ legislation. According to the Herald Leader, a flyer posted on the Dunbar Theater Facebook page said, quote, "I want my rights back right now." The flyer said the protest was aimed at protesting bills against trans and LGBTQ people.
All right, guys, so you've seen that, you heard that. Okay, let's read a little bit more here about what these people are melting down over, and then we're going to get into it. Yesterday, the Kentucky Senate passed Senate Bill 150, a discriminatory bill that targets LGBTQ plus youth and prevents teachers from creating safe, inclusive classrooms. The bill now moves to the House. SB 150 could force teachers to disclose LGBTQ plus students' identity to their parents, making it more difficult for LGBTQ plus students to seek mental and physical health assistance from trusted adults in school. The bill also allows teachers and students to misgender their own pupils and classmates and prohibits schools from recommending or requiring any policies on pronoun use. Quote, "Your vote on this bill means one of two things. Either you believe that trans children do not exist, or you believe that trans children do not deserve to exist," said Kentucky Senator Karen Berg, Democrat from Louisville. "I can tell you these children exist." Senator Berg is the mother of Henry Berg Brosu, a transgender employee of the Human Rights Campaign who died by suicide at the end of 2022. Quote, "This hate building across the country weighed on him," she said of her son. Okay, so she's using her son as a way to justify woke gender ideology being pushed on kids in school. Again, I feel bad for her son, but I don't think that's an excuse to infringe on a parent's rights to make sure that their kids aren't being indoctrinated in school, and for kids to be informed about their children who may be indoctrinated in school, right? And that's essentially what this bill is all about, is parental rights, which seems to be something that the wokes hate. Like the Democrat Party actually hates parental rights. They don't believe that kids should have a say in what is being taught in school. Okay, they just believe that, hey, it's the government's job to teach kids, to raise kids. You know, the government has kids for 8 hours a day, and, you know, parents are wrong because parents are, you know, bigoted, right? They're not teaching their kids right. So they believe in, again, the school, the system, the government raising kids. But here's what I got to say about this and these kids walking out. Okay, I do stories like this all the time, right? My question is when is one of these kids going to get arrested? Serious question, because I did a video the other day about Mr. Josh Alexander, I believe his name is. Now, this was in Canada, but Canada is not that much different than here, right? I mean, we're basically going to beat Canada at some point in the future. He got arrested for organizing protests and walkouts in defense of women who don't want to share bathrooms with men, or girls who don't want to share bathrooms with boys, right? He got arrested. But you never see one of the woke revolutionaries get arrested for organizing walkouts in protest of bills being passed in Congress to protect women, right? Again, I find that to be fascinating. Why in the world is when the wokes protest, they never get arrested? They never face the consequences. But as soon as somebody protests against the woke agenda, oh, now all of a sudden, oh, we got to call the cops. This guy's a threat. He's dangerous. Okay, what about all the potential dangers that young girls face having to share bathrooms with, you know, people of the opposite sex? And don't say that there's no danger because, again, I mean, look at what happened in Loudoun County. There's always a risk. Even if it happens once, that's one too many times. Again, I don't understand that. How in the world is it that these wokes get away with destruction, violence, protests, walkouts? They're never arrested. They're never punished. They're coddled. They're told, oh, no, your feelings matter. You're right. You're right. Everybody else is wrong. But when the opposition decides, hey, let's do the same thing. Let's peacefully protest. Let's express our opinion. Oh, my God, this is terrorism. This is terrorism. This is an insurrection. We got to start arresting folks. It's amazing how that works. Again, my question is, when is one of these woke students going to get arrested? Because that's what should happen, right? That's what happened to a conservative student. So why doesn't it happen to one of these students? People say, oh, there's no liberal bias. There's no liberal bias. No, there is a liberal bias, right? It's 100% bias. Again, if you speak up against the mob, you're risking everything. Right? But you can be the mob. You can be woke. You can use violence. Again, you can walk out. You can do all this stuff. You can be disruptive. And nothing's going to happen to you because people are afraid of, standing up to the mob because they don't want to be called, bigots and transphobic and, racist and all this other stuff. It's interesting how that works. I wish these kids were as concerned about their education as they are about what's going on in their legislator. Again, I'm glad that they are aware and they're informed, but that bill being passed is not infringing on anybody's right to exist. I hate how they say that. You pass laws that we don't like, that must mean that you don't want us to exist. You're taking away our rights. Meanwhile, they can't articulate which rights don't you have, right? Which rights have been taken away? No, what's being taken away are special rights and privileges. It's forcing teachers to have to go along with a reality that is simply not reality, right? That's what's being taken away. Special rights are being taken away. If you take away their special rights, then you're saying that they can't exist. Absolutely incredible. That is some incredible logic. That is an incredible argument. That, hey, I got to say, it's effective. I got to give them credit. Because, again, if you push back against it, again, you could end up being arrested. Crazy how that works. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.